Hello good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, bringing you my second impressions video for the brand new Tier 10 Premium American Battleship, Ohio. So, as I said yesterday, I only had one game to play in the Ohio for that first impressions review. Thankfully, that game gave you a very good idea of what the Ohio is like, and I have to say, after playing it for quite a while this afternoon, it still holds up to that. There are a couple of things that I neglected to mention in the first impressions review, and I'm going to go over some of those and just give you guys my current thoughts on the ship after playing it pretty much exclusively for this afternoon. Had a bit more time. I got about 10 or so games in. But anyway, so the Ohio. It's a Montana with 18-inch guns, and it only has 8 guns. But the guns are pretty accurate. Not so much at range, not that the ship has a lot of range. It only has a 21.6 kilometer range for the main battery guns. Of course, if you use the spotter, you can increase that, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because the ship is set up very nicely for mid-range and even close range brawling. Now, I say that because the secondaries, you can get them out to 11.3 kilometers. They are insanely accurate, especially with a full secondary build, which I do have on this Ohio. I'm using the same captain and the same module build as in the first impressions video. And the game you're actually watching right now is actually a fairly average game in the Ohio. I'm averaging about 110, 120,000 damage each game. And of course, on good games, I'm going up to 170, 180, 190,000 damage. I haven't broken 200,000 damage yet, but again, I've only been playing it for 2 days. And, I mean, with the nature of Tier 10 battles, especially in the current meta, being at mid to long range rather than close range now, that's pretty good for a ship that's set up for mid to close range. Now, of course, in something like the Curve First, I haven't been averaging as high as I would like to with the damage lately, just because the way the meta's been going. But the ship is much better. I wouldn't say it's the better brawler, but it's certainly the better option between the two for the current meta. Now, in a straight up brawl, the Curve First will come out on top, but the Ohio will take most of the Curve First with it in the process. But it's a really nice ship, and it's got, I didn't mention this yesterday, it's got a really, really nice hill. It's not a super hill or anything, but with the premium consumable, you can get with the premium consumable and the flag, you can get the cooldown time to 40 seconds. 40 seconds on a Tier 10 battleship. That is amazing, and you will see me make use of it later when I charge the Musashi. Because, I mean, this is still just a Montana hull, and Musashi and Yami can have their way with you even from now on. So that comes in great use later. And, I mean, there's not much else to say about the ship besides the guns are really good. The secondaries are really, really good. It is slower than the Montana. It has a 28 knot top speed. Of course, if you put the speed flag on, you can get it up to almost 30 knots. And I mean, it feels a bit more unwieldy than the Montana, but other than that, it feels really, really, really good. And the big question, of course, is it worth it? And in my first impression video, I said, no, it's not worth the money, because let's face it, most of us don't have the time to regrind a line 5 times. And you actually would have to regrind it 7 if you don't have the bonus. But you will get the bonus, so you will only have to grind it 5 times, unless you've already grinded out for the Colbert, and in which case, well, you're kind of stuck up the river without a paddle, because you have to regrind whatever line 7 times. Now, is it worth that time? I would say, if you have because this ship is, and Wargaming has said this ship is made for people who have done everything in the game. This is an end game ship. And is it worth that grind? I would say yes. It's a very nice ship. It's a very nice ship. It's a very fun playstyle. And yeah, it would be worth that grind. Is it worth the money to convert all the XP over? No, that's $400 for a digital item. That's insane. The only reason I did it, and I even questioned myself while doing it, was to get this review out for you guys. And, you know, I do have this YouTube channel, and this is going to help me recover that money a lot faster. So, the reason I can do this is because of you guys. So, thank you so much for this. But I would not have done this if I did not have this channel. I would have just said, oh, well, that's a nice ship. I'll never see it, and then move on. Now, and again, right there, I just took like 15K off of the curve first if this audio and video synced up as I watched it. It's a lovely ship. But, as I said in my first impressions video, you would just be better off if you want an American battleship with 18-inch guns and good secondaries. Just get the Georgia. Georgia's much faster than this thing too. This thing has better armor than Georgia, but I mean, Georgia's a battleship. They can go friggin' 40 knots. The ship only goes 28. Georgia just feels a bit more fun than the Ohio. Sure, the Ohio is more powerful because it has another turret and the guns they feel more accurate because you have more of them. So that's what I'm saying when I say it's more accurate. And that's the only reason I would see for you to get this over Georgia is if you just want that extra turret. But you also have to pay $400 for the extra turret or grind up a line 5, 6, 7 times for that extra turret. But, I mean, it's a good ship. I cannot say it's a bad ship. And, yeah, if you can get it, I would take the opportunity to. Not paying the $400 for it. But it's a great little ship. Now, as I say that, I also have to say there are a couple of rather annoying things about the ship that will, well, at least in my book, it dampens it a little bit. And the biggest thing is that this is literally just a Montana hull. I mean, like, not in like the armor and the looks and stuff. It is legitimately just the Montana model with different turrets. That's all it is. Like I pointed out in my first impressions video, the bridge isn't, you can't even see into the bridge. And I mean, for a premium ship that you have to either spend I mean, who knows how many hours regrinding a line to get, or pay $400 to get, and they just repurpose the Montana hull and the Montana model without adding anything to it. I mean, sure, it looks like they may have moved some of the greebling around on the deck, and greebling's just little things that add in more detail to the ship. It just looks like they just moved some of that around without really updating the model. And like I said in my first impressions video, the Montana is the oldest tier 10 battleship in the game, Montana and the Yami. And they updated the Yami's model not that long ago, and they haven't done anything for the Montana yet. And it is just a little bit annoying that on a tier 10 ship that you have to either work so hard to get or pay so much to get, they don't spruce up the model for you. I mean, come on, really? And the other annoying thing is the handling. It is a bit unwieldy, but I mean, it's not that big of an issue, but it does get annoying at sometimes. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. That's really the only major downside of the ship, because it's a Montana, and a Montana in my book is a really, really good tier 10. So it's got all the same issues as a Montana, except, like I said, it's a bit slower. And the armor is the same armor that the Montana has, so, well, there you go. Just took a big hit from the Musashi. So you still have that vulnerability at mid to long range, but at close range, your Citadel is underwater. But, I mean, it's not like you have German armor, so don't get too carried away with it. But you do have a very nice hill to offset that. So, there is that. And, I mean, what else can I say? It's a lovely ship. So anyway, and in this replay right here, you're about to see some really strong points of the Ohio. See, I just used my repair party not that long ago, and I'm already only about 20 seconds away from popping it again. And I've got a Musashi in front of me, so I'm angling against him. I mean, I'm going to get pinned in the bow anyway, so I'm just angling against him to where my secondaries can get on him. And the secondaries are a great source of constant damage. And, ooh, he missed there. They don't do a whole lot of damage through pins because they only have 20 millimeters of pin, but they do start a fair amount of fires. There we go, this Musashi's giving me broadside. I lead him a little bit too much there, but I still managed to get one Citadel from that first salvo, and unfortunately that second salvo goes over his bow. And now I'm angling in against that Musashi in front of me because I don't want him to eat my Citadel. and I'm getting my secondaries on the port side of my ship to start firing again on the other Musashi that I was already working on. And for some reason, this Musashi had HE loaded. Not really sure why he had that, but anyway, there he goes. And I know that there's cruisers around this corner from the plethora of smoke. So I start to turn open again so I can get all my guns and all my secondaries chewing at this Musashi right in front of me. I'm having trouble with my English today. And man, this Musashi is just absolutely getting dunked on by everybody. And there he goes. There's the carrier. And here's a Minotaur, which I select my secondaries. There's a Montpelier in front of me. Now, again, right here, big 18-inch gun, so overpin. I am a bit forward because I thought he was going to go back again. Get some more overpins, and I click on him for my secondaries to target him. And, well, the Kleber gets him before I do. And there we go, there's 1,000 points, and there's a win. And again, this wasn't an exceptional game in the Ohio. This was an average game. I think I did like 123,000 damage this game. So this is a normal game in the Ohio, which, I mean, this is a pretty good tier 10 game. Wasn't extraordinarily close to anything, but it was a decent game, and that's how the Ohio is going to perform if you get her, and if you're an average battleship player. I would say for battleships, I am a good player. Cruisers average, destroyers way below average, but battleships are by far my strongest class. So if you're a decent battleship player, you should get this type of results out of Ohio. But I mean, again, that's if you get it. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this. And again, is it a nice ship? Yes. Is it worth the money? No. Is it worth the time? Again, if you've done everything in the game, of course it's worth the time. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this second impressions video. Hope you all having a wonderful Thursday. And if you liked the video, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 5,000 subscribers now, and we are getting there quite fast. We're almost at 4,100 subs. Cannot thank you guys enough for that. Alright guys, again, hope you're having a wonderful Thursday, and hope to catch you guys in the next one.